makes this? I don't know. It's me. It's Amid the Ruins. It's a guy who makes Dyer wave music. It's Amid the Ruins. Dyer wave music. What I've talked about in probably 100 articles at Jay's Analysis is the implementation of the AI smart grid and the giant smart cities, which is what IBM talks about publicly building. And that's where we're going, and that's what I think we have to be really concerned about. So all of these tensions, they are part of a long-term strategy to basically get everybody moved into mega cities. They'll be forced off of land and so forth for environmental reasons, and basically concocted and invented environmental nonsense. Then you'll be stuck in some hellhole mega city in a, basically a carton-size apartment living over a Target or something, or inside of a Target or a Walmart, as I said several years ago. It's actually coming true now. There's actually Target cities. This is all part of the long-term globalist strategy. So, but to get there, you've got to have the constant clash, the constant alchemical blending and mixing and smashing together right out of Manichaeanism to produce the convergence, to produce the synthesis. And that's what's crucial in all this, and what is absolutely true from an alchemical, esoteric, philosophical, and geopolitical perspective, the fact that the ruling elite seek to be post-human. jaysanalysis.com. solutions politically. And this is what so many people in alt circles and alt-right and alt-whatever and alt-media, they all seem to think that there's like a political solution to man's problems. And really the whole of modernity is built on this. Welcome. Are you tripping out? Because we got these fancy e-celeb YouTuber lights. We're official e-celeb YouTubers now.
We've been abducted and we're on a spaceship.
Just keep things out of my bottom. We'll be fine.
That's what the spaceships are for.
That's
you know that.
Exit only, no access point.
We're going to play with the different colors of lights. And see how it goes.
And so this is because to be a real YouTuber, you got to have fancy light setups. And the fancy lights come with all these fancy things like, I don't know.
Filters.
It looks like a kind of vaporwave feel to it, so yeah. We'll go with that.
Right now we got it on comic book red and blue.
We're going to do the next installment in our Alien January Alien movies. Of course, most of these are terrible. I mean, Alien movies in general are terrible. I don't like them. Here and there's a few, shining gems amongst the pile of dung, but tonight we're going to do some of the fun ones, some of the ones that we found a little more interesting than usual. So, first up is Captive State, which was a 2019 release with John Goodman and our friend from It, right? Our buddy James Ransone that I had a day-long inbox debate with. So I don't know if he sent him my book. He said he was glad to get a copy of Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2. So maybe Eddie from It will eventually come on the stream. I don't know. He said he'd think about it, but we'll see, right? But
Captive State.
He was in Captive State. I didn't remember, or I'd heard about this movie, but I never did watch it, and I didn't realize that Eddie was in it. I got something in my eye.
It was a lot better than I thought. It was better than the reviews gave it credit for.
I'm sorry for my hair. I got like a bad case of like 80s Patrick Swayze hair coming in. Hair. No, it's got to be cut, man.
I like it. I like your hair in all its stages.
No, it looks like Patrick Swayze. It's turning into Patrick Swayze if I don't cut it over my ears. Oh, what?
I forgot to look up Tool. We'll get to that.
It doesn't matter what goo Tool uses.
I want to know if there's a name, because that's what the aliens from Captive State look like. Is that goo from the Tool videos that has like cymatic properties? So I was wondering if
some damn bitch ass porcupines is what porcupines from angry porcupines from space.
Yes. So Captive State starts out. We are under lockdown by the aliens, right?
Lockdown.
Lockdown
got your city
from
on
the aliens.
Got your city on lockdown.
Yup. They got us where they want us. And all of governments have turned the authority over to the aliens, basically. And they just kind of are a go-between.
Yeah.
Between our masters and us.
Right, so the aliens essentially once again represent the kind of things that the elite actually do in the real world, which is to try to set up an international global government to basically parasitically feed. And that's going to be one of the common themes through all of these alien movies is the parasitical feeding theme. Aliens can't do for themselves. Why can't they just do their own shit, man? Like, get a job, dude. I don't work for you, right? They have to have the slave. They can't do their own thing.
Taking our resources is their job. They're like galactic predator locust things that just move from planet to planet.
I'm a galactic libertarian, and the aliens are galactic communists who want to live off of me, right?
Yeah, well, they talk about that in Avatar, like, we're the new aliens that come to take the resources to the Pandora.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, this movie starts off and it's like, where we are now, and it's all the humans are slaves. They're mining things for the aliens. They're digging underground tunnels. They're making bases. They have closed off zones in the cities where only the aliens can go.
Yes, aliens living on welfare. Getting that EBT,
aliens
living off the government cheese, getting that EBT.
Have made all the humans poor, and they're these ugly like black goo morphy things. Like I was talking about the tool stuff. I wonder if anyone in the chat had.
No one is worried about what tool
I'm
uses
so curious.
in the video.
I wish I looked it up. Okay, so.
By the way, thank you, and you can support our Goofy show with super chats. The super chats are via Streamlabs, as you can see there.
We're doing Alien January because
I look like a damn nerd with these glasses on.
You look like
nerds love alien crap.
He looks like Clark.
I love aliens.
Clark Kent.
Soy face.
You look like undercover hero.
I'm Soyper Man.
Yeah.
With these glasses. Soy Superman. Go.
I get it. So, if you fight the aliens, you get deported off planet. So, and they have chipped everybody.
You go to the prison planet.
They have chipped everyone in the neck so that if you go out of line.
Folks, these unbelievable. I have the documents, folks. They're taking us to the prison planet. Okay.
They really love chipping you so that they can turn your chip off and on. What was that one where their stomach exploded with the balls? You remember? We did a show about that.
Alien?
No. How he swallowed the balls and it tracks them, and it was the Gutbusters.
Fortress. Yeah, it was Christopher Lambert.
Yeah. Everyone has a chip in their neck in captive state.
Gutbusters.
Yeah.
Isn't that a cafeteria restaurant?
I don't know, is it?
Sounds like
it sounds like a comedy club.
Somebody know. It's a boomer cafeteria restaurant with trays.
Gutbusters.
If it's not, it should be.
It's like Dave and Gutbusters.
It's got a giant guy laughing with a big gut, right? And there's pizzas like popping out of the stomach. That's the logo.
Yeah.
Is that a real restaurant? Can somebody tell me? Is there such a thing as Gutbusters? Did I just make that up? Go ahead.
So, the aliens actually
Someone draw Gutbusters, the boomer cafeteria restaurant. And
like
I'll
Bob's
put it,
Big Boy. But
yeah, but it's like
exploding
Gutbusters.
guts. Fortress. Okay, so the aliens. Some people worship them because there's a class that has
the government class of humans cuck to the aliens and worship them.
Yeah, and so the aliens are kind of like gods to these people because they have enforced unity and harmony and brought peace into the world.
And they make everybody engage in public rituals of harmony and unity festivals. So it's like a social justice alien festival, literally, that they set up.
So, well, this made me think of, do you remember when Ronald Reagan was talking about Star Wars?
There's Dave and Busters and there's Dave and Gutbusters.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you remember when Ronald Reagan was talking about Star Wars? And he's like, we need a force to go up against to unify us.
Yeah, he's at the UN saying that. It's a famous clip about
only an alien attack will make the world.
The Gipper telling us about the aliens coming.
Yeah. So this is something that's in the works. So remember, people, when these things start happening, it's not a coincidence that they said it was all.
Well, that's why we're doing Alien January, is all the discussions about the establishment of the coming disclosure bunch of baloney.
Yeah. So,
Can you
okay.
Scoot a little more. There you go.
Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
There's a human resistance group.
Always. There's always the resistance. Right?
What's it called? Fifth Column or something like that?
Yeah. Well, they're the Phoenix is this, right? So the humans will rise from the ashes, the Phoenix from the flame, resurrection.
They call the aliens roaches, and they have sucker drones that like come and get you if your beeper comes on.
So you're microchipped and you're attacked by drones if you don't follow what the aliens dictate.
You have to have backroom surgeries to get your chip out, to get your gutbuster neck thing out. The invisible goo. Oh, that's their bomb. Okay, so this one was really cool because the whole time you think that the bad guy is bad.
Yeah, so John Goodman playing the
it
villain, and we will give a spoiler alert, but yeah, so if you haven't seen Captive State, it's a pretty good movie, it really is. It's a well done story, good acting, good overall,
better than District 9, I think.
Yeah, I think District 9 is kind of dumb, but this one is better.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it was a bomb. It was a monetary failure. Critics were split on it. I thought it was pretty good. It was a good conspiracy plot, and it's illustrative for our purposes. And so spoiler alert, there's the image on the wall, and I kind of figured it out. Once you see this image, you pretty much figure out the whole thing. The image on the wall is the Trojan horse, right? And so, beware of Greeks bearing gifts is the line throughout the movie, and that gives away, of course, the ending, which is that you keep going back and forth whether the John Goodman character is a good guy or a bad guy in this labyrinthine plot to try to overcome the aliens, and it turns out, yes, he is himself the Trojan horse, and he uses the invisible C4 clear goo to essentially blow up the alien ship.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting how the aliens had morphed the religion and
captive state.
The religion and the state together to be worshipped as one, because they're singing patriotic songs to the aliens and also like hymns, kind of glory, glory, hallelujah, and those kind of songs. So the aliens were the state and the religion at the same time.
Well, yeah, and the title of the movie kind of has double senses to it, right? Like, are you in a captive state serving the establishment?
Yeah.
Right?
So another point that made me think about this movie was what would the elite do if the aliens had them? What could they do?
What do you mean, the aliens?
Well, you know how they just sold out humanity and made them slaves and enforced the aliens? Because that's the thing, the aliens couldn't have their occupation without the human enforcers.
Mm-hmm.
So if they really had them captured, like what could the elite do to even fight back? They couldn't fight back even if they wanted.
Well, that's the point of the movie is that, are you talking about the real world or in the movie?
I don't know. It was just a conundrum, like...
Well, that's what
If you're a world leader.
That's why the only way that they could beat them was for John Goodman to do what he does.
Right.
And for Vera Farmiga to play the role of the Swallow.
Yeah.
She's the honey trap Swallow operative who basically entraps a bunch of the government elite to blow up their whole thing and to appear, right, as a big honey trap operation that gets busted, to appear to bust the resistance movement. But all of that was just so John Goodman could get close to the alien mothership when he's taken aboard the ship to be congratulated for his busting up of the resistance. Mm-hmm. But that was only because John Goodman the whole time was planning with her, his prostitute girlfriend, to blow up the alien ship.
Yeah. It was really good. I would recommend that.
It was a lot of fun.
Next we have a classic.
But I like the fact that that they brought in the espionage and entrapment with the Swallow operation that I also didn't expect that.
That was good. Classic M. Night Shyamalan.
So, yeah, classic moral dilemmas. Would you hoe your girlfriend out to end the alien invasion?
If she had an OnlyFans, would that save the world?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would.
Okay.
Signs.
Move on to Signs.
No, wait. What's the other movies in our stack?
Lifeless.
And then what's...
They Live.
Okay, yeah. Well, then Will They Live.
Okay.
By the way, this is a half and half, so if you want to support the stream, you can, of course, do it via the Super Chats, or we will cover the second half for subscribers only. We don't work for free, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of free content, but I ain't going to work for free all the time. So if you want to, you can subscribe to Jay's Analysis and get access to the full Alien Breakdown.
Yes, your Super Chats will rescue us from the mothership.
To the roof off the sucker, to the roof off the sucker, to the roof off the mother sucker. The mothership.
Oh, yeah.
P-Funk. Do not attempt to adjust your radio. The alien mothership has arrived.
You do that good.
Make my phone the P-Funk.
You know what song was in my head all day?
No.
Katy Perry, E.T. About getting... Well, because all of this alien stuff was in my head. And I'm remembering the lyrics, and it's about mating with aliens that are also demons. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I guess that is what that's about, yeah.
Yeah, well, I did a breakdown of that video a long time ago.
Well, you did a chapter in your book on Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, it's not just in movies, it's in pop music too. Love you some aliens. But these aliens are bad.
Shamalama ding dong.
Signs aliens are meanies.
Right. This is really the only one, well, maybe a couple of them have quasi-mild Christian themes. Signs has a pretty loosely Christian-esque ethos and theme. I would say that you could argue that the aliens in this are the most openly kind of demonic. Now, maybe in Life Force, but Life Force has no Christian themes whatsoever.
So how much of the alien movies would you say is the alien the bad guy, the good, or the savior? Like half and half?
Most of the time they're bad. I can't think of many where, I mean...
Or like E.T. or, sometimes they're the savior.
I mean, when it's like a kid's movie. But,
yeah.
I mean, most of our alien movies, they're the bad guys.
Okay. All right. In this one, the aliens are bad. So we got Mel Gibson, who we like. He's an ex-priest. And...
And that's because he's undergoing he's had a crisis of faith because of his wife dying.
Right. So he's mad at God, so he's not a priest anymore. And like you made a good point is that they said sometimes I talk to my wife who's passed, and you said this movie is the mom talking back.
Right. So they both Mel and the little girl say that they talk to their mom, right, who's gone on, and they don't think she ever hears them, or by extension, God ever hears them in their prayers. And the whole movie is about providence and synchronicity and God answering us and speaking to us in ways maybe that we don't always expect. Right? And that's what this movie is about, is signs from God.
Right. So aliens have arrived, and they are using crop circles. Right, everyone's freaked out. They've mapped out the world with their crop circles, and they're landing, and they are doing military tactics, like scouting before they all come down, and they recognize that
I'm gonna go
this is an invasion.
I'm gonna mow some like goofy crop circles, little ones in our yard, and then I'm gonna wake up in the morning and say that tiny aliens visit us, like little bitty crop circles,
and then we could charge people to come see our crop circle.
Right.
So, this is also about two kinds of people, believers and non-believers.
Yes, that's brought up multiple times. Mel himself says there's two kinds of people in the world: those that look at these big events, alien abductions, world events, death, life, right, and they see meaning, or those who see just nothing, nihilism and chaos, right? And that's kind of true. Yeah, I mean, either life has meaning or it doesn't.
I thought the scene in the movie where he comes in and they're wearing the tinfoil hats was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because it's the crazy people that wear the tinfoil hats that believe in aliens, but...
Are you not reading the notes?
Yeah, we said all those things.
You're skipping.
Oh. I don't know why I wrote down
India,
ancient gods.
So the first place the aliens appear is over India. And they're talking about the ancient Hindu temples, right? In India. Shyamalan is Indian, right? So is this referencing the world's oldest religion, which is basically paganism, polytheism, and connecting it to the gods of the pagan pantheon? That's why I think it talked about that. India. That's where they first appear in the sky.
Okay.
On the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
They use military tactics. They use reconnaissance. They're basically that military guy figures out and tells Meryl, right, that they're going to do an invasion. Right, the military recruiter tells him this.
At first, he thinks it's nerds that can't get girlfriends that are doing the crop circles. Remember?
Meryl does.
Yeah.
That's one of the funny lines. Is that it's just nerds that make up secret societies and codes, and they like to play tricks on people, right? So psyops is the explanation that Meryl gives when the younger Culkin asks, right, what's going on? Why are we seeing this? Right? Keep going.
Let's see. They got their tinfoil hats. The scientists are persecuted for their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a theme in this.
No, it's not. It's just a joke that the kids make when he picks up that book at the bookstore. And he's and it's funny because the little girl reads that line. Mm-hmm. Mel Gibson's like, Dr. Bimbo, he sounds like a lunatic. And she's like, it's scientists who are persecuted for their beliefs.
Yeah. And she's like, it's contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But, of course, her leaving the water is also intentional. It was all happening according to what would be the way that they would beat the aliens, including him having asthma. So bad things happen for a greater good. Right?
Yeah.
The movie is kind of also hitting on theodicy, or the problem of evil.
So these aliens also have their stupid alien clicking language.
Yeah.
I would say
aliens are always clicking and smacking.
half of the aliens. It's gross. He does mention War of the Worlds in this movie.
Right. Well, Signs is influenced by War of the Worlds, Childhood's End. Right. It very much has a Childhood's End theme going on here for sure.
Mm-hmm. The aliens are kind of dumb in this. Like, they're rudimentary. They have no weapons. They can't figure out how to get out of traps.
Well, they don't know how to work doors.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
They don't know how to...
It's almost like the technology that we had was so kind of primitive, they didn't know what to do.
Right. Oh, they had a camouflage.
Yeah, right. So they blend they adopt the environment.
That's like Predator has that.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, a lot of reptiles do that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's because aliens are often likened to the reptilians, the cheetah ori.
Yeah.
5 sensuality.
So they figure out that the
low vibrational frequency and the 5 sensuality of consciousness having an experience of itself, mate.
Infinite love.
Infinite love
is the only solution.
The infinite love of the cheetah ori having a self-experience of themselves with infinite love. Alone in the bathroom. Might.
They figured out that this was a raid. Infinite raids on the planet.
What?
The aliens came for a raid.
Okay. It's reconnaissance, I said.
Yeah. Well, no, they just came to take some people and leave, not to take over.
It's reconnaissance.
Yeah.
The guy said the military tactic, right, is to find out reconnaissance and then prepare for the invasion.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's pretty much all we have for science.
Cheetah ori. No, it's not. There's more. We haven't even hit on the symbolic themes.
Oh, okay.
So, he hated God, right?
Yeah.
And remember the baptismal water theme. So we're told that they hate water, and I think that especially it was people out of the Middle East discovered that these entities hate water, right? Mm-hmm. Christianity comes out of the Middle East. It's what destroys the power of Satan is baptism, right? Yeah. So the water is what eventually leads to, I'm just saying it's loosely connected to baptism, right? The water is what defeats these fallen angels, mm-hmm. right? And so by the way, I have a full analysis of this in my book, Esoteric Hollywood 2. You can get signed copies at my website, jaysanalysis.com. And that's the thing, right? It's essentially demons, even though Shyamalan just kind of cloaks it under aliens. And I would say, it's one of the best alien movies. Got a good message. Like you said, it has more heart to it than a lot of these stupid alien movies.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, War of the Worlds, the Spielberg one, was a good movie. But, I mean, Tom Coon, come on, right? I mean, this one is a better film.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess it's all about providence and everything works out.
The way that God answers plans or prayers, the way that evil leads to a greater good. Mm-hmm. We can't see all of the connections, and so that's part of what faith is about, is not that we don't have intellectual basis for our beliefs, but that we, in a sense, do have to trust, there is a plan and that God knows what's best, and that even if we can't see all the reasons why something in the present is happening, we know that down the road is for the greater good to those that trust God, as Paul says in Romans 8:28.
Signs from God, maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Very good.
All right, what's next?
Life Force, 1985. Alien vampires in space.
Yeah, this is a kind of B movie, a British B movie with an openly Crowleyan occultic theme. I mean, if you've not seen the Golden Globus Canon Films documentary, I highly watch it. I highly recommend you watch it because that is its own interesting, weird story on its own. The history of Canon Films and what they were kind of up to.
We tried to watch that one.
Yeah. But this is based on the Colin Wilson book, and if you know the realm of conspiracy and cryptozoology and that kind of stuff, Colin Wilson has written many books. I've got one of his books on esoteric mysteries or something like that. And so he wrote this called The Space Vampires, and Tobe Hooper of Poltergeist fame is the director. So Tobe Hooper, who also did Chainsaw Massacre, that's how he made his bones. Get it? He made his bones. Mm-hmm. Is the director of this. I don't know if I would call it a hit. It's definitely an interesting B movie. Wasn't a big blockbuster or anything, but it's full on just like what demons would do and how aliens are demons. I mean, it's a better picture of what the alien phenomena is than perhaps any of the other movies that we've seen, except for Signs, except this. Life Force has no Christian themes at all.
That's true. And this one has a lot in common with one we'll do in the second half called Under the Skin.
Right. The Scarlett Johansson indie film from 2014, Under the Skin. Same idea with Life Force. It's just that Life Force is... it's a lot of fun if you're looking for an 80s B movie with kind of esoteric themes. Mm-hmm. It was actually you that recommended this movie to me many years ago. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it is all about a ship that finds another ship out in space in the tail of Halley's Comet. So this makes me think of those weird... cults that follow the comets and kill themselves when they come around. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What was that one? The Applewhite. I can't remember what they're called. Heaven's Gate. Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like that. So they're out there and they find this ship that the space vampires had raided, I guess, and they're in stasis in these crystals. So they take the naked lady and the two naked guys in the crystal back on their ship.
Well, aliens sure do love, like they're just obsessed with human sex, right? Like, why is sexuality so appealing to the aliens? You know,
because it's our weak point. It's one of the ways they control us.
Okay, but I'm just saying that it's obviously not really aliens.
Right.
I mean, aliens are not going to have human biology.
Oh, yeah.
If they were aliens.
Yeah.
They're not going to come across the galaxy to look up our butts.
Right.
And cut up cows. Okay, go ahead.
So they take them. What looks like a butthole? Look like a butthole. One of my notes.
Mean people look like butts.
No, something looked like a butthole.
Something in the alien ship, yeah.
Oh, okay. You mentioned that maybe it's like an evil trinity.
Right, there's a woman and two dudes or consorts or I don't know what, but some sort of inverted space bat vampire anti-trinity.
And if
basically. And she's a goddess, by the way.
If she kisses you, you turn into beef jerky.
Yes, she sucks your life out. She's basically a Ron Popeil human beef jerky maker.
She will suck out all your 80s blue lightning.
It's pink, though, in this, remember?
Yeah.
It's pink.
Some of it's blue.
You're right.
And so she escapes. Well, they take all the space vampires back to Earth.
Right.
And they escape.
Right.
Obviously.
But we learned that the astronaut, the Texas cornbread astronaut, could not resist the naked chick's mojo.
Right.
He seduces her, and it takes a turn away from what you think is a vampire zombie movie and starts to turn into a spiritual demon movie. And so the goddess vampire woman is a spirit who can possess other bodies.
And if she sucks out your life force, you are still alive a little bit. And you can come back to life and suck out other people's.
Well, she does turn people into vampires.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the there's some kind of vampire alien zombie virus that gets loose. But the reason that's let loose is because we find out that she and her consorts are essentially feeding off of the energy of the souls they collect. So they're psychic vampires, right? And life force, the way they do that is to take your sexual energy, basically. I mean, this is not a dirty movie. It's just a silly B movie, but it keeps hinting at the kind of the innuendo stuff where every time there's some person that's possessed, this possessed person, like the prostitute in the park, she's controlled by this higher level vampire bat demon woman.
And if she sucks you out, then you suck someone. If you don't keep sucking,
it's not sexual.
You will die.
What she's talking about is not X-rated.
Like soul sucking.
It like sucks the soul out of you.
Yeah. So you keep sucking or you die. That's the thing.
Suck it.
Suck it. Oh, and then we found out just being around them, even if they don't suck your life force, it drains you.
Yeah, debilitate.
Colin Wilson, he's a big occultist influenced by Crowley. I mean, he has a lot of occult books, right?
Well, she can enter into the astral realm.
Yes.
And comes to you in your dreams, and then she kind of, like a succubus type of thing. She takes your energy there too and possesses you, and she lives inside of people.
Yes. And some of this happens in the astral realm.
Right. So when there's the mass plague, it's the human sacrifice to the elite. Now, the most interesting part of this is, guess where she resides?
In the church.
Yes. In a quote, church, right? A crypt. It's the cryptocracy, right? She lives in the crypt, and she has her magic sex ritual, right? Essentially at the climax of the film, right? And that's where the virus gets loose, and she's basically absorbing all of the energy of the souls in London that are subject to the zombie virus. So it's a human sacrifice, energy collecting thing going on.
Just like Ghostbusters, kind of.
It's very. It's like a B British, not funny Ghostbusters, and of course, as we'll see, also in another one of these movies, Captain Picard shows up. Right, Captain Picard is the one who ends up possessed by the vampire woman.
Yeah.
Make it so. Number one.
What would Crowley say the life force is?
The Borg are our enemies. Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the SS Enterprise.
That's good.
The Starship Enterprise. Number one.
Yeah, it's a little off. It's a little too deep.
The Borg are our enemies.
It's almost, that's turning into Morgan Freeman, right?
I think you do better at Picard than Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, no, I can't do Morgan Freeman very good.
So the life force is in the male.
I am Locutus.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he says.
Oh, yeah.
Locutus. By the way, First Contact is really goofy if you go back and watch First Contact now.
We're going to do that.
But that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Go ahead. Where are we at with...
Crowley says the life force is in the male fluid.
Correct. Right. By the way, yes, another of the Crowleyan elements to this movie is that the life force is the male life essence, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
And by the way, she zaps that too. You see.
Yeah. Ship is a big all-seeing eye.
Right. Well, on the poster of the movie, it doesn't really show this in the movie, but the poster has an eyeball perched above Earth, like that's the energy vortex to feed on all the human life force. So that's one.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of what we do think about demons, right? Demons feed on human energy and emotions and right? I mean,
and the people she was possessing already had
Garmin Bozia.
Oh, yeah. Already had problems, like the lady that she was using her body was a masochist.
Prostitute masochist,
yeah.
right? So essentially people that are evil are opening themselves up to her influence and possession, and she can kind of hop around into the bodies of her servants.
So they made a point to say that this isn't their real form. It's just an archetype from the projection of that guy, the astronaut's mind of the perfect
So they're
woman.
space bats that can appear as whatever they want.
Yeah, so he wanted a beautiful woman so they can appear as that. It's like poltergeist, you said? Kind of demon virus that's getting out.
Yeah, because in poltergeist, it's souls that are being sacrificed to the beast. It's actually called the beast in the screenplay.
Oh. The entity was distracting them so it could spread.
Right, so it wasn't really about trying to get the entity out of Jean-Luc Picard. It was about being distracted at the mental institute so that the alien zombie virus could spread throughout London.
Mm-hmm. But somehow, if you shove a big iron stake through their chakra, then
he actually said the guy by the way, the British version of NASA is like a hospital. It just looks like a primary care dental facility. That's the best the Brits can do for their NASA. By the way, but NASA's fake and gray anyway. So, so the head of NASA, the ESA, the English Space Agency, right? He decides he figures out that ancient myths are the way to kill vampires, and you stab one of their chakras.
Well, he figured out this is where vampire lore comes from, is these space creatures.
Right, they're space bats.
Yes.
Bat people on the moon.
Yes. Bat Boy.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bat Boy.
Mm-hmm. Except this is Bat Bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Bat Bish.
Oh, there's a weird part where Jean-Luc Picard...
This is where the Karunka comes from. These space bats. This bitch died in a soup. She died in the monkey soup.
That's the official story.
She fell into the monkey soup.
Yeah.
She does turn... Remember when she turns into a bunch of goo?
The space bats cause Karunka.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When she fell into the monkey soup.
That's more
yesterday's
plausible
stream.
than the
soup.
actual
It is.
Story.
It is the actual story. It's a true story.
So Captain Picard, when he dies and the other guy dies, their bloods become her. Do you remember that part?
I didn't understand that point.
So aliens are always so ooey gooey.
Oh, because they're bats. They're vampire, but they drink the blood.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the life is in the blood. Leviticus.
They are the gooeyest creatures in the universe. Aliens, aren't they?
Yeah, I was saying, how come aliens don't show up and they're not, like, why aren't they just really dry? Maybe they have dry scalp, they have eczema, right? Eczema. Like, why are they always so gooey?
But
maybe space is
them.
freaking dry, dude, and dusty.
But water hurts them. She's a destroyer of worlds, they said.
Yeah, so she's kind of like a female version of Shiva. Mm-hmm. She destroys worlds.
And when the life-sucking virus gets out, it looks like a plague, and they put London under martial law and military occupation.
Yeah.
Right?
Lockdown.
There
was a lot. This movie was reminding me of certain things going on in London, right?
And all of the blue lightning is going to the ship.
Right, which is like a
ship.
ripped out eyeball looking down on Earth.
Yes.
Basically.
So they're stealing all of London's 80s blue lightning. At the very end, she tells the astronaut, "You're one of us." The generative principle.
Yeah, she tries to recruit the cornbread Texas man astronaut and says, "You were always one of us." I don't know what that means. I mean, why this guy? But
it's just trying to get you to turn on humanity and
yeah, exactly.
Be in league with the demons,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, but he ends up stabbing her with the
magic sword.
The magic sword, right?
Yep.
So the world is saved by.
She wanted them to transcend.
By a Southern boy.
Transcend bodies is what she wanted.
Oh yeah, there was the Gnostic element that she said when you join with her, you shed the body. That was kind of the whole Gnostic underlying theme here. And Crowley talked like that too, like you shed your body and you go into higher spheres when you've done the right hoodoo magic bullshit.
Kiss me, kiss me. Remember that? But
What's that?
Katy Perry, E.T. Could you be
I
the
don't
devil?
listen to that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
This
I know,
is
you
just
hear,
like
you sing that, I don't know.
E.T.
Okay.
Katy Perry.
Does she zap life force from people?
No, she goes off to marry a half goat alien man, and they hop off on this.
You mean in the video?
Mars. Yeah,
Isn't it Kanye in that video?
he's in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one
Life
is
Force.
They Live.
They Live. This is the last one of the evening.
Classic of the conspiracy world.
Yes.
If you're looking for a classic
Probably-
conspiracy movie, it's definitely They Live.
Probably, it's like Eyes Wide Shut, They Live, Manchurian Candidate, top 3. Wouldn't you say? Matrix, maybe. What else?
I mean,
This is-
for the normies, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to say for the normies, yeah.
So.
But I love
Live.
John Carpenter. We've done many John Carpenter streams. By the way, if you haven't seen the previous John Carpenter streams, that I've done on The Thing, Prince of Darkness, on and on and on. I've done most of the classic John Carpenters. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. Now, some people don't like They Live. I don't know why. I think it's a great movie. It doesn't have the perfect paradigm that we would like it to have, right? It comes from an early mid-'80s kind of left paradigm, but early mid-'80s left had a lot in common with the kinds of things that we would say today, right? They were very skeptical of corporations. They were very skeptical of big government, even and the regulations of government. There was an acknowledgement of the power of propaganda, the danger of the CIA, the danger of black operations, secret black ops stuff going on. I mean, there was a lot of things that we could appreciate about the 70s and 80s, the anti-war stance. They were ahead of the game when it came to why are we fighting these wars, right? Pointing out that the Soviet menace was largely hyped up, just like a lot of these menaces are hyped up that we've had ever since the Cold War. And so we can appreciate the kind of leftism of the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then as we get into the 2000s after 9/11, the Big 9 event, right, the left turns into just a weird, creepy version of neoconservatism, right? It's like a social justice version of, like, have all the neocon foreign policy and just totally degenerate social policy. And who knows what economics, I don't even think they even care about it anymore. But, a lot of the economics of the 80s, like the left, was critical of, free trade, critical of NAFTA, critical of all the things that we would be critical of nowadays. So we can appreciate this era of, quote, left without accepting everything, right? I mean, there's elements to where, the signs say things like marry and reproduce, which is in itself a good thing. But keep in mind that if you're just a middle class tool of the elites, you're really just the engine of the society, right? And so in one sense, even the marry and reproduce element of it, we can appreciate the criticism of that, because if you're just creating more mediocre middle class idiots who are the engines and batteries of a corrupt system, you're still part of the problem, right? So I'm not advocating the everything about this movie. You get my point? Mm-hmm. Okay, go on. The mindless consumerism, right? That's the thing we can appreciate here.
Yeah, definitely.
Nowadays, there's no such thing. All there is the mindless consume, right?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how the main character's name is John Nada, right? John Nothing, or
John Nothing, right?
He's kind of like an everyman.
Yeah.
He's anybody. He's any guy who's just down on his luck.
Well, the movie has,
hardworking day to
right,
day.
it starts with a critique of the corporate elite, right, who are essentially moving jobs offshore to other countries. And so there's a sub-theme of, like, NAFTA, that kind of stuff, right, which is all degenerate, which is all contributed largely to the destruction of the country.
Well, yeah, there was even a scene that made a point about how the immigrants in the Union took his opportunities.
Right.
So, so he is just...
That's a good way to put it. If you're just a normie breeder, then you're just breeding more normies, and your breeding is pointless.
Yeah.
So does that mean that it's better to be sterile? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we can look at it from that vantage point. Mm-hmm. Work, buy, consume, die. Exactly.
Yeah. And everything extra goes to the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
He blows into town, into Los Angeles from Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And first things he come upon is the construction site and then the apocalyptic preacher. Which there's always an apocalyptic preacher saying the world's coming to an end. You have to pay attention to the background in this movie about what's going on in the televisions in the background, because that's always part of it.
Right. John Carpenter always has an apocalyptic preacher pop up.
Yeah.
That's a funny.
So I thought on one of the first TV background scenes is a lady talking about how she disassociates when she watches television. And she's like, I can just be them and I'm going to live forever as a character on TV. And so, or never grow old on TV, is what she said. Mm-hmm. So that is a clue about how the aliens are controlling your mind.
Right.
The signal through the television, which I totally believe that TV is a mind control device.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
So... Then he meets that guy. I don't know his...
Frank, the black guy.
Frank, yeah. And he starts telling him how it is. So he's got a little bit of woke
He's
wisdom.
a little woke in the right way.
Yeah. And he's talking to him about the poor, the underclass, the racial injustice, and he keeps using the word they. They. And I think that's one of the biggest questions that when you start talking about this, people will be like, well, who is they? And you have to have this bullet list of who would you say if someone said, who's the they?
It's ultimately spiritual, and then there's a human pyramid of people that submit to the they.
That's a good answer, yeah. So then, what else?
It's the vampire bats, and then the people, and then the people underneath them.
Yeah.
The alien vampire bats. And then
there's
their servant class of the humans.
There's a guy who has figured out how to hack the TV. I call them
so there
static
is
hacker
the resistance people that are secretly meeting in a church to try to get the signal out and to stop the signal that the TV stations are putting out to put everybody in the trance and to control their perception. Mm-hmm. And I think it's symbolic. It's symbolic that it's in this church, right? I think John Carpenter loosely has a Catholic background or something like that. So it's just symbolic that the church is the real source of the resistance. And so there's loosely a mild Christian message to this one as well.
Mm-hmm. So he goes into the church and he finds that they're making these sunglasses.
Right.
So you have to enter the church kind of to get your new sight.
To get eyes to see, right? You can't see the world, and you can't interpret it properly. You won't see what's really going on until you get the glasses, and then you can see that the people enforcing the system themselves are essentially controlled by something else, right? They're basically demonic. They're under demonic oppression or possession, and they enforce this system because it's a control structure, right?
And then you've got your...
it's a control structure that, like life force, is harvesting human souls for Satan, basically.
And the old blind preacher, he's like the sage archetype with the second sight. Right.
So he's blind, but he can see what's really going on, right? Mm-hmm. And he says that it's essentially elites that serve these higher powers that are enforcing this system, which is against God, and the system is to enslave and destroy humans.
Another character I like in this movie is the philosopher bum, who lives in the camp at first, and then he turns on them at the end.
Right. Well, he's the skeptic at first, and he says, this message is a bunch of baloney. He's full of it, right? The guy that does the whole Guy Fawkes thing and interrupts the signal. And there's a good contrast there between all these people in this homeless camp. By the way, wasn't that kind of predictive of LA? Like giant homeless camps and encampments in LA. And here we have that. Then we get the lockdown, right? That comes down and it sort of just mows down the whole place, right? As if the system isn't basically fostering the things that promote these kinds of economic hardships, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen 1 year now of stuff that was, basically destroying what was left of middle class.
Yep. And then the police come and raid the church and toss it all up. Even what little they had, they'd take a bulldozer and mow it down. Right? Remember that?
And this is just showing the injustice to the working class, middle class, and lower class people that get basically destroyed by the military police state that's put into effect. So basically, the elite have a police state that they enact. By the way, what's happening, right? Police state. This is what is the norm, and that's going to be the norm, like a third world country with a military junta to enforce the corrupt leaders that control the country. So for all intents and purposes, I mean, this country is pretty much, it has been for a long time, just like some kind of junta level government. By the way, Roddy Piper too, people think maybe he was killed. I don't know. I don't have any speculations about like how he died or anything like that. He was an interesting guy. I know he was on Alex right before he had passed away, but he was in some other B movies with some interesting themes. If you've never seen Hell Comes to Frogtown, that's a fun one with Roddy Piper. He used to come on USA Up All Night back in the 90s, if you remember that. And that's about sterilization. All humans have been sterile, and then in this future where a bunch of like overgrown Pepes basically take over the world, he's valuable because he's not sterile. So that's a fun 80s B movie if you're looking for something goofy. And but it's interesting because I don't know what other movies Roddy Piper was in, but at least two of them are dealing with interesting dystopian themes.
I thought it was interesting after the bulldozer scene, when they're picking up all their wreckage and trash and trying to put their life back together on the TV. They still got a TV somehow, miraculously, out in the dirt field. And it's like a fashion commercial.
This is a miraculously well-run homeless camp. I mean, basically everybody works together and they clean their dishes and they like sit around and watch TV.
It's like Rainbow.
They have full families, right? And it's like, come on, really? I mean, like actual homeless camps are like drug needles, fentanyl addicts, zombies dying and rotting, next to each other. I mean, it's just not an accurate picture of what a homeless camp is like.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk bad about homeless people. I'm just saying that this is not accurate.
Well, I mean, some shanty towns have a little order to them.
Okay.
Because families have to live there sometimes. So. But yeah, like, why is the TV back on immediately after they're picking up their clothes out of the dirt and there's a television in there? But then he goes and he gets himself some glasses. He's wondering, why are these people in this church across the street under attack? Mm-hmm. And he finds the glasses and he puts them on, and what does he see? All of that. Billboards, and it says, consume, obey, buy, work 8 hours a day, marry and reproduce, no independent thought, do not question authority, watch TV, conform. And the money says, this is your God.
Right.
Right?
Even the money is basically mind control.
The stoplight says sleep, sleep, sleep. And then he goes to the...
So basically this is ELF, VLF stuff. And in my book, when I covered this chapter, I go into Jacques Ellul's book on propaganda. I go into Edward Bernays. And I go into Brzezinski's book, where Brzezinski said that there would be... Basically the ELF, VLF towers would put out signals that would influence people's behavior. Mm-hmm. It's in Between Two Ages. Read the book.
It's interesting. When he's at the book stand, there's an Edgar Cayce book behind him on ESP. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is There's also drones. Do you have the drones?
Yeah. Yeah.
Surveillance drones in the 80s?
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought there would be... I mean, granted, in 1984, I think there are surveillance drones that fly around that Winston talks about. But, there are little drones that fly around.
And he can see what they really look like. And they're all... They look like they have no skin and Christmas balls for eyes.
They do.
Right.
That's probably how he made the mask. Yeah.
Politicians give you false hope. Why did you say that?
Because it's on the TV.
Oh.
Remember, the politician is on the TV.
Oh, yeah. I'm behind.
And the politician says, it's a new day. We're going to fix everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything's looking good, right? And it's the worst.
He's one of them. And when he tries to explain it to anyone, he sounds crazy. Because they haven't seen it.
He becomes a patsy, right?
Yeah.
He starts going after these entities, and they portray him as a terrorist on TV.
Mm-hmm. And let's see. He shoots up the bank, and he gets away with the lady. Right?
What's the next note? Like, we don't have to... They know the plot.
She works at the station.
Right, and she ends up, of course, as you all know, the journalist, right? The blue check person is the person who's the one that sells them out. How accurate is that, right? So she's a blue check journalist, and she pretends to be on their side. She infiltrates their meeting. And by the way, shouldn't he have been suspicious? She just shows up at their alien meeting. And she's like, I'm on your side now, right? One
fun thing I like about this movie is how much physical stuff he goes through. He gets pushed out of a window, hit with a bottle, beat by the cops.
There's a 10-minute fight sequence with the black dude, right?
Well,
they just beat the crap out of each other for like 10 minutes.
I was wondering, does that represent something like what you have to go through to get people to see things the way that you've seen them?
It's a good point, yeah. Well, the black guy didn't want to be woke.
Exactly.
Right? He's like, I will not put those on.
Yeah.
And Roddy Piper's like, I'm going to fight you and make you put them on.
Is this a metaphor for how literal...
Yeah, that's the allegory of the cave. Is the point is that people don't want to see what's outside the cave.
Yeah, and you have to beat it into... beat it out of them. So then they find the underground resistance.
I came to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
That's it.
Somebody requested Nick.
Mashup.
So that goes to you, Kara, for $5. You said this stream would be off the hook if Nick showed up. And Nick just showed up to give you the John Nada line. So there you go. Go ahead.
Let's see. Yeah, so they get the underground resistance.
Red pill sunglasses, yeah.
But they find
She's a journalist. She's got a blue check mark.
They finally get underground to where the aliens reside.
Right.
And see how complex it all is. And they're like...
Right. It's a vast system that has, it's an underground base. It's the elite in underground bases working with demonic entities. And, they have an alien portal and all this kind of stuff.
They teleport to different stars and stuff like that.
Andromeda, yeah.
They're turning our atmosphere into their atmosphere. Oh, so when they get down in the base, they find Philosopher Bum, who has turned.
Hey guys,
he's turned.
Boys, I didn't think you'd be recruited, but here you are.
Yeah.
Let me show you around, give you a tour. Right. So he was the bum, and then now he's one of the millionaire elites.
Yeah.
Zillionaire elites, right?
Yeah. So he just gives them the tour to everywhere, and that's how they wind up trying to sabotage their signal. Oh, what he's explaining, he's like, humans are livestock to them, and we are their third world ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another example of the aliens just feeding off of us.
Yeah, that's always the theme in the alien movies. And again, this highlighting that demonic aspect of the aliens is that they are parasitic. They feed on the human energy and life. And because they're basically on welfare, just like we saw in Captive State, they won't do any work, and it's like they want the ABT, baby.
I thought it was interesting. They said by 2025, the whole world will be under their control.
Right.
So we have
they
5
have
more years.
well, they have actuary plans, right? And so this is the 80s, and so in the movie they're saying by 2025 we have it planned out that everything will be under our control, and there's a lot of really interesting aspects of this movie. And even though it's couched as alien stuff, if you read the movie as a kind of a spiritual allegory, it's telling you that the world structure that we have that's fallen is essentially run by the demonic, and so you can again interpret the aliens that way. The structure that they bring in, this dystopian, is, surveillance state, surveillance capitalism, all that stuff is critiqued in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting how they were filming the local news, and so that's just one all big psyops.
What now?
Media. They're filming the local news at the alien headquarters.
Right. And by the way, if you've not seen the clip that I've shared hundreds of times, probably in the last 10 years, the local PSYOPs brigades embedded at the local news Army PSYOPs embedded at the local news stations, right? Mm-hmm. So that your local news is literally crafted by psychological warfare experts. Now, I don't know if the clip is still on YouTube. It's been up and off for at least 10 years. But that is kind of what is hinted at in this movie, or not hinted at, it's actually clearly shown. But let me see if I can find it. You keep going.
Well, what else happens? The journalist almost foils Roddy Piper, but in the end, he shoots the satellite, and it destroys the signal, and then everybody can see the aliens for what they are. So this is an example of just get the word out, and people will believe you, and things will change, which that never happens. Because we've been getting the word out for 20 years, and...
Well, it depends on who your target is, right?
Yeah. But I love how easy it is in the movies if you just...
Go ahead.
Make one broadcast about the truth, then it'll spread, and things will get better.
I found it. So it's still up. It's a 10-year-old clip, and only 1,000 people have seen it. So... I'll put it in the chat for you right now. It's just a classic Pentagon broadcast, and they say in the broadcast that psychological warfare experts were embedded at the local news stations to do who knows what. Well, because the whole of local news is nothing but psychological warfare operations. I mean, remember the clip of all of the news people across America saying the same stuff in tandem, right? Gas prices, blah, 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 right? You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. The Conan even did it, right?
Do you remember all the crazy stuff that was happening in newscasters where they'd be like, and the Burtons are...
Does it matter who owns your local TV station? While polls show Americans are increasingly worried about so-called fake news, they also show that many trust their local news more than other sources. The largest owner of
they trust their local news. Maybe that's why this is important.
A viral video of Sinclair news anchors has again raised concerns about the way in
for Sinclair. And here he was. Tribune Media goes for of adults said they got their...
That's the wrong one.
Hi, I'm Fox First.
What's worse, if you actually...
Have they taken this down? Backlash over... So now they have all the mainstream news... Don't bite. They have all the mainstream news stuff that is...
The sharing of biased and false news has
Here it is.
all too common on social media. More alarming, some media
So there you go. You can't find this original. They've taken that down, I guess. Now here it is, the Easter Bunny one. Here's the Conan one, right?
A lot of people think the big news stories today are the Supreme Court debate on...
Take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Right.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny.
This is literally They Live stuff. This is, right? It's exactly like They Live.
Bunny step this year.
Economic
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year. Economic factors may
You get the idea.
take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors.
Yeah. Do you remember also a couple years ago where the newscasters would start talking gibberish?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, the heavy birtation, and they just wouldn't even know what they're saying. That made me think of that. And what was I going to say? Oh, those goofy videos where they were like, they're reptilians because their face is shape-shifting the newscaster.
Yeah, it's just digital, older style digital stuff would glitch sometimes.
That's classic
The
conspiracy.
cheetah Uri on tape. Caught on tape, the cheetah Uri.
Watch the shapeshift right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, it's obviously just digital stuff that was older and like 240p, like trying to process.
That's funny.
Anyway, so yeah, that was older stupid conspiracies that were not true. The reptiles on camera is obviously not true, but that's it for tonight's movie analyses. If you've not seen They Live, it's a conspiracy classic. It's a lot of fun. It's in more like a B movie, but it's pretty good. And if you're just looking for fun. So let's get to the super chats, and then we will do part 2 for subscribers. And what's the movies in part 2?
We got
Star Trek First Contact.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
The 70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Under the Skin.
Under the Skin with Scarlet.
Predator.
And the Predator, get to the chopper!
Yes.
Get to the chopper!
And Jesse Ventura, do him.
I can't say what Jesse says in
Say
that
this.
because I can't.
I
No,
have a
don't say
line.
that. Don't say that line.
Why? No, not that one. Say, the son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick. That's exactly what. Yeah, he's got some other awesome non-PC lines in the movie that are fun too. Anyway, let's get to the super chats. If you want to, you subscribe to Jay's analysis for the part 2. And then, by the way, the part 2 to the analysis of the Gospel of John will be up tomorrow. Deviated Thinker, $10. Two beautiful people about to get pro. Ooh. I hope not, please. But thank you for that $10. Exposing Powerful Lies, shout out to him. He was on that, I think that's the guy from the stream with me and Tristan, little A's of the day. For $6, he says, Jay, do you like film noir and black and white? Well, yes, I do. I have a chapter on some film noirs in this that gets into esoteric stuff, and some of those.
Sunset Boulevard was one of the best.
Yep, it is one of the best. We have very similar tastes, except that I never hear you talk about black and white. Well, that's just because we haven't got around to it. Yes, but we do talk about. I did one podcast old, but it wasn't very good on Orson Welles, so I need to redo that. And I think Jamie and I will do. I love Touch of Evil. That's a classic. Third Man. So there's a lot of really good Orson Welles. The F is for Fake is a classic. That's really good. And I know we need to do some of the older Kubricks too. So I think in the near future, yes, we're going to be doing some other. Sunset Boulevard, definitely. Glass Key. There's a bunch of noir that's really good. George's Journal, $10. You died, she's still sucking. Damn, boy.
You dead, but she's still sucking.
Damn, boy. You going,
for life
going hard right there. Going dark, baby. Big and 8, $5. I've been listening to you and Jay and Jamie for years. God bless you and keep it up. Well, thank you, Big and 8. You are a big boy now. You have graduated to big boy status. Deep Scope 22, $10. He sends a silent but deadly super chat for nothing. Says nothing and sends $10. Thank you. Sasha, $5. Sasha, what's up, Sasha? Sashay and your little sassy ass around. Jamie looks like a 70s horror chick flick in this lighting. She does. She looks hot. She looks like a Slumber Party Massacre chick. She about to get Slumber Party Massacre. Watch out. Creepers creeping around outside. Look out. Kara says, again, $5. This would be off the hook if Nick Cage made an appearance. He did. I did that earlier for you. Gerald Norris sends that underhanded compliment. He sends that neg. Woo! He says $100 neg. He says, your content has gotten interesting again. Thank you for your work. Well, shit, boy. I'll let you neg me for $100. I didn't know it was not interesting, but thank you for that $100. Nano Nerd, $10. What would you say are the essential parts of a good John Carpenter movie? Gooey things, this kind of lighting.
Bums.
Yes, bums and hobo demons like David Lynch.
Bugs.
Supernatural or demonic. Bugs. Aliens. Although I hate alien movies, I'll put up with it given... This is very much... Like, this lighting looks Mandy and Cobra and Carpenter.
Looks like comic book. Like we.
What? I don't know what you're saying. Comic book.
Because when you take the glasses off, it's just red and blue, but when you put them on, it's in 3D.
Oh, 3D's a ripoff.
It is.
3D movies suck. Give you headaches, make you dizzy. Anyway, they are a mix of horror and conspiracy and great fun, campy and spooky. Yeah. Halloween 3 is a lesser known John Carpenter. It's basically a John Carpenter movie. I think he uncreditedly did the movie. So I still like it. It's we did this one pretty recently. And then Prince of Darkness, I like a lot. We did the whole Apocalypse trilogy. We've done The Thing. So yeah, go watch all the John Carpenter streams that I've done. We did the whole Apocalypse trilogy, right? We did In the Mouth of Madness, The Thing, and Prince of Darkness. That's the Apocalypse trilogy. But thank you for that. Big and 8, $3 says, have you looked into chemeticism? No, I don't know. I don't know what chemeticism
is. That like Kermit the Frog?
Is that
Kermitism?
Egyptian movie?
Yes, Jordan Peterson's philosophy is Kermitism, and we have mastered that. I'm wondering if you got anything on that piece, dog. I don't know what chemeticism is, but it sounds like, yes, I know Kemet is, I know, but I didn't know he had his own system. I like Kermeticism better.
I like that too.
Heidi ho, Kermeticism.
Yes, we did Suspiria. A lot of people ask for, yes, Halloween 3 actually is pretty good. Halloween 3 is not about Michael Myers, it's about a cult. 3 more days to Halloween.
We did Halloween 3
Silvers.
Halloween.
I know, right. And we have done,
Shamrock.
we did a whole 20-minute, and I made it into a mini doc. Our Suspiria clip is a 20-minute mini doc just on Suspiria. So go watch that. Wasn't this Egyptian Coomerism? Remember that Tom Coom movie about Egypt?
I don't think I watched that.
No, it was a bomb, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Egyptian Coomerism has Tom Coom as a Kumi instead of a mummy.
Oh, yeah.
Kumi.
The new Mummy, that wasn't terrible.
New Mummy. Oh, you mean with Brendan Fraser?
No, with Tom Cruise.
That's the one I'm talking about. I didn't watch that.
No.
All right, thank you guys. The next half will be, again, Predator, Star Trek, First Contact, Under the Skin, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 70s, which is one of my favorites. I love that movie. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys. We will be back tomorrow, me for the subscribers, with the rest of Gospel of John, chapters 2 and 3. God bless. Have a good night. A lot of fun. Thank you for those super chats, by the way.